And we're here.
Your mood is different than the last time we were live.
I was excited, crack open a victory beer today. Enjoy it. Enjoy the Saturday afternoon. Enjoy the week off.
Yeah, dude, that would have been amazing. No week off.
Alas.
No week off. Nope. I would kind of have schedule problems on Thursday with the draft and work. Really love. Anyway.
You've been getting a lot of love for this hat.
For the hat. Yeah, it's a great hat. It's the best piece of band merch I've ever seen. Amos had it. I think they sold it years ago. And then I saw him at the Beacon the other night in New York, and they had the hat. And it was like instant purchase.
Yeah, like multiple comments per pod about the hat.
If you like Amos Lee and are from Philadelphia, this is like leans right in to all of that. It's a great hat. It's available on his website if you want the hat. I think it's $30, worth every penny.
I think I linked it to somebody in the comments the other day.
Do you know who you linked it to? I actually saw that. It was Alan.
Do you know him?
Well, I recognize the name. It's the same guy. It was Alan who proposed at the lottery party.
Oh, nice.
Who is no longer with that girl.
Really?
They are not together. They have not been together for a while. I follow... I'm not naming names, though it's out there. I follow both of them on Instagram, and they're not together. Yeah, I don't think they ever got married.
I hope they're happy.
They were. I mentioned to. I forget who I mentioned to afterwards. I was like, I was suspicious of them always winning because they were too attractive. I felt like they were out of like central casting or something. Like we had booked them to get engaged at the lottery party.
Is that the recipe for success for a marriage? Someone has to be
No.
ugly?
I meant to get engaged at the lottery party.
Oh.
I just felt like I thought actually not only just like too attractive. I didn't know who they were. Like I had never seen them before, and I felt like whoever was going to get engaged at the lottery party, like whoever was going to win that contest, would be a couple of people who I knew, and I did not know them. I'd never seen them before, so it was always suspicious to me. So, but I hope they have, they're having good lives. Otherwise, she seems like she's having a good life. I haven't seen a post from him in a while. So, hey, Alan, if you're watching, hi, Mike.
What up?
Hey, Mike.
What is up?
A lot of hats today, huh?
Oh, well, I'm always hat.
Always hat guy.
I have full head of hair, and I feel like on video it looks like I don't have a full head of hair, so I don't.
Sometimes like 40 minutes in, you'll take it off, and then there's always the one chatter that's like, "Oh, spike hair alert,"
Yeah,
something like that. So now used to it.
Yeah. All right. I suppose we can start.
There's going to be like 6 people in here.
Nope, that's not how it works. I know you've always thought that's how it works. There's already 200 people in here.
Nobody wants to be in here. They're all fake.
You're low again. Does he sound low again to you, CJ?
Hello.
That sounded good.
Same thing.
And you're also. I boosted you last pod, so
okay. You boost him in
StreamYard.
In StreamYard. Okay.
Yeah.
Could be me. Maybe I have my headphones turned down, but I don't think so.
It's weird because some pods it's like, too much.
Right.
And then just randomly one day it's the opposite. I don't know.
I'm talking into the wrong side of the mic. Is that a problem?
That sounds better.
He's fucking with
if you
me.
did anything right there.
He's fucking with me. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Body Bio. Get 20% off anything at bodybio.com with promo code RTRS20. And our friends at Kinetic Skateboarding get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On today's pod, I am hoping for a positive mic as I am not just because of the loss, but I am in an abyss as the Sixers lose the game, and the series is now 3-1. Joel Embiid with a thumb injury that we don't know exactly what it is, but we think we know what it is. And if we get to it, some new Ben Simmons quotes on his own basketball IQ and floor generalness. Kinetic Skateboarding, I mentioned, who is a sponsor of ours. I've always said about Kinetic, they have sneakers you can't get anywhere else. And they do these things where they have these raffles. This week, they did a raffle. Actually, it's still going on today, Saturday, if they're still open. The Nike SB Dunk Chlorophyll Dunk Low. So the raffle ones, you actually have to go in there to enter. But you got to watch their Instagram, which is Kinetic Skateboarding on Instagram and Twitter as well. I think it's Kinetic Skate on Twitter. And if you order stuff on the site, use promo code DaveSilver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Life's tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rice to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's happy because he saw Jaden Springer assist on a B-ball Paul 3 in the closing minutes. The rest of the game simply does not count. That is one Mike Levin.
Yeah. 100% true. Every word you said. Yeah, you said, look, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Can I tell you why I'm down
Sure,
aside
yeah.
from the loss?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I see the Embiid news yesterday, and I think I went through the same thing that everybody else went through. It's like, well, Joel has he has a proclivity toward drama for these sorts of things. We had the knee thing last year, and he ended up, fine or whatever. And he says he'll play through it, and it's Shams that has the tear news, and we're like, we don't trust him anyway because he gets every story right, so why would he get this one right? And then and there just seemed to be no worry as I looked on my Twitter timeline today going into this game. He'll be fine, it's not a big deal, he'll get some rest. I was worried the whole time. The entire time, I'm worried, thinking like, it's his right hand. He's the most important offensive player on the team. And I see the game, and he quite obviously doesn't want to fight for rebounds. He quite obviously, on several defensive possessions, it looked like he was going to go up. And because of the fact that he might fall, which is never how he is, he sort of pulled back because he doesn't want to fall and land on his right hand. He's grabbed it 100 times. He shot poorly, and he looked generally miserable. And not only is that going to be a problem for the rest of the playoffs, because if it's torn, it's not going to get better until he gets surgery. Full stop. I just feel like he is so important emotionally. Everybody else feels it. And it just feels like a disease, like a negative disease that took over the entire team, who just did not have energy. And I think it all stems from him. And I just if he is 70% of him, it's just not good enough. It's not going to be good enough if it's 70% of him. And that's that. So this game, I think they'll beat the Raptors, but this game isn't it. It's just what this game sort of signifies to me. I can't get my head out of this is horrible.
Well, the thing about the playoffs is really every game feels like 10 games, in the regular season, and the importance of it. They're up 3-1. If you would have told me that going up 2-0, they'd go to Toronto and split, we'd all be very fine with that. Now, I think these aren't excuses. These are just add them to the list of factors. Early start time. Shit happens. How often have we seen them look sluggish? And they definitely did. They looked both sluggish. There was not a sense of urgency. There was not, the effort wasn't there. Sloppy, unforced turnovers, leading to Toronto transition chances that a lot of times they didn't even earn, second chance points, all the stuff that we were concerned about going in the series. Toronto with 13 offensive rebounds to Sixers 6. Sixers turned the ball over 15 times. Toronto had 9 steals, all that stuff. They just it made it a lot easier. And then those couple tough buckets that Siakam had during the game and got to line a ton, and random buckets from Thad. all those things hurt even worse because they were also getting those easy buckets in transition that the Sixers were kind of just gifting them. Like, I agree about Joel and the thumb.
But my point about second chance points is that how many rebounds did Embiid have? 4, 5?
He had 8, but he had like 5 like late in the fourth quarter. Like, he had 3 late that were kind of pointless.
I think it's all related. We've seen him have bad games before, but like I could trace everything back to that. And my worry is,
but like they were due for one of these games anyway, and you feel worse about it because Embiid's thumb, but like, this is who this team's always been. This is what a Joel Embiid team is. Like, he is like it or not, and it's definitely not all his fault, and it's definitely not all Doc's fault, and it's definitely not all Harden's fault. But like, the kinds of teams that the Sixers have had for the last 5 or whatever years, there is a lack of urgency permeating through games occasionally. I think every team has that, but it feels worse with the Sixers, both because we watch them a lot and also because like, there's just they haven't had like the most athletic team and like imposing quickness wise. Anyway, you could say that the team that lost to Toronto a few years ago was, but even still, like they were still kind of slow and still kind of like methodical. They're never like, they're not the Grizzlies. Like, they're not gonna like just use all their effort anyway. So when even like low effort methodical team is sleepwalking even more, then it's just going to look like, well, really, they don't give a shit. I will say, body language guy, Embiid having his arm around Harden on the bench at the end as they were both watching the game. By the way, Doc should have gotten the guys out like way earlier. Like, it was not happen. It was not going to happen. I didn't want any like, there was already getting chippiness with Embiid and like Anunoby and Siakam and stuff. I didn't want to risk like a last minute frustration suspension or something like that. But I think this is just like the kind of game they have. You go up 3-0, you lose a game. It feels better that Miami also lost to Atlanta last night. It would have been really nice to give Embiid the full week. It would have been really, really nice. But they played like shit. For the most part, everybody did. A couple bench guys hit shots. We'll talk about them. But like, they played like shit. And they were really very much still in this game with like 6 minutes left. It was like tied. And it's because of the better team. And especially with Al VanVleet, who knows if he's out for next game, especially with Scotty Barnes definitely not at 100%. Toronto just doesn't have enough to win this series. To your point, like, that's not necessarily the concern. It's more going forward. But you look around the league, every team is banged up. Like, every single team. Except for the Warriors, weirdly, and obviously they are, they've had 2 serious injuries coming back from, so that could change at any point. So it's a frustrating game. It's a frustrating loss. They should have ended it here. I wish that they had more of a sense of urgency. I do think this wasn't a Doc fault. I think like he was using his timeouts to stem the tide as much as he could. I
don't blame this one at Doc at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. I thought he went to zone nicely a couple times to like throw Toronto off their rhythm. It's just like they just didn't have it. They didn't have it tonight. And even still, they were still like very close to within this game. If a couple shots fell, Danny had 1,000 wide open looks that it seemed like he just missed all of them. Siakam banked in 2 shots from straight away. Like, it's because playoff games feel like so many games rolled into one because that's how much importance they are. It feels like, oh, this was destined. They were never destined to win this game. But they very easily, if a couple bounces went their way, it could have been like, man, they played like shit and they still won this game. Feeling good, rest for a week. It's like, you can be concerned about Embiid going forward, but I wouldn't read too much into this particular game because it's one game and they were in it until Toronto finally pulled away at the end.
I read everything into this.
I feel it. I understand.
Yeah.
I read into, the garbage time minutes from B-Ball Paul and Jaden Springer and Isaiah Joe. So why not? I get it.
All right, we'll get more into the game itself after Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Happy birthday to Rebel, who's now 8 years old. Rebel is spry. He's 8, right? He runs around like he was a pup, right? Like he was 1 year old. Part of that is he sleeps on a Big Barker. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. The joints on the dogs are important. You need a bed engineered by experts to support those joints. That's what a Big Barker is. Rebel been sleeping on Big Barker for like 5 years. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. That is bigbarker.com/Ricky. Don't fall for that trick. Don't fall for the trick of the Instagram ad of the fluffy looking bed. It looks like a cloud, looks like a pillow. You don't want to sleep on a pillow. You want to sleep on something supportive. Don't fall for the trick of the bed you see for $29.99 at the pet store. Looks fluffy. That's not what you want. You want a supportive mattress. If you go to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez website, look at the Process Pup section. You see all the happy dogs, but you see them on a supportive mattress. There's a difference. There is a difference. Dogs have joints just like we do. They develop arthritis as they age just like we do. That's why your dog needs a Big Barker. BigBarker.com/Ricky. Been proven by Penn Vet to do what it says it does. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1 year at-home trial. Try it for a full year. If you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, full refund plus the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Woof woof.
All right. So before we get to the game itself, because I want to go right from, I know we'll get to B-ball and Springer eventually, but I want to go right from Embiid to Harden and Maxey.
That's a promise.
Your thought is that, or I guess we're just guessing at this point, but based on Doc Rivers' comments, based on the reports, Embiid has a tear in his thumb, right? And it's not going to get better these playoffs. Like he's going to have to play through it.
I'm sure resting it would help a little bit.
Yeah.
Than getting it banged, and it clearly affected the way he played. I mean, not just him like, okay, going up for contested rebounds, and it seemed like he was even just like not as strong with the ball. Like guys hit him and the ball like popped out pretty easily, which is why I'd love to see him like get deeper posts, like do your work early. There were a couple times when he got Anunoby like deep, and that was like, okay, cool, that can work. It's harder for them to, especially before the defense is set, it's harder for them to come down that far rather than just if he's, at the elbow or something like that. And then there's more opportunities for them to slap the ball away or slap at him. Mm-hmm. But like he really just decided to be more of a floor spacer, which obviously Toronto will give him, which is fine in sometimes, but like the outside shot is also affected by the thumb. So like he's mostly just standing out there for like creating space, and it's tough. It's definitely a concern. Like I'm not going to say that the thumb's not a concern, but we've seen him play through pain before. We've seen him play through injuries. Mm-hmm. At least this one shouldn't affect his conditioning, although it definitely affected his like motivation level. I think that's pretty clear.
For sure.
Like his passing was like really bad.
Yeah.
He was,
and then that had to be it because he does it a lot one-handed with that right hand. You know?
He's already like when he's lazy with his passes, which even as his passing has improved over the years, like definitely take a massive leap forward this year. He's still occasionally just like lazy, not looking at anybody, like kind of just gives it away. There were a couple times when him and Shake got like crossed up when Shake was cutting on open lane and Embiid was just kicking it out to him. That was 2 turnovers that resulted in easy buckets. I mean, his just effort level was low. He looked really out of it. He just didn't see him at any point in the game to feel like I'm taking over, or I'm comfortable, or I'm like manipulating the defense to his will and all that stuff. Toronto is definitely, they're built for this kind of thing anyway, but like they really made it a point to be like, okay, cross-court passes, prevent the weak side, the kick to the weak side 3. And they did a couple times. And when they didn't, Danny just missed open looks. Embiid didn't get them in the bonus at all, except for late in the second quarter. And I think that was mostly Harden. He wasn't getting some calls, but he also wasn't like earning them really. There were a couple times he could have gotten more, but he wasn't like forcing the issue or like in control. He had that one really nice handle into a fadeaway at the nail with that on him. So like it seems like the shot is not crazy affected by the thumb. But it just never looked comfortable. Embiid just never looked comfortable. It was just a bad Embiid game, and I'm sure the thumb affected him mentally, but like it was also like a lot of it was effort on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I get the sense that the pain was affecting him mentally, which probably was affecting the effort too. Not to be excuse maker. I've gotten on him when he needs it. I feel like it all comes back to that. And to your point about the shooting, I think the reason that we see it more at the rim, him not getting to the line as much, and in passing is because those are things he does with one hand, as opposed to a jumper, which he does with 2. And theoretically, they're just coming off of his fingertips, right, on his right hand. So hopefully, the shot looked looked pretty good. You know, and he hit the shot at the end of the game in game 3 with the injury.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's swelled up over the next couple days kind of thing when you're playing, things can hurt less in the moment. And then later on you're like, oh, this actually is killing me. And I'm sure that affected him. But it was like, the whole game I was like, well, it's on Harden to give Embiid easy looks and to find creative ways to, like, Toronto is trying to scheme Embiid out of easy looks, and it's on Harden to just like beat that. And there were a couple times when he did touch passes on like Joel seals on like smaller guys before the defense got set, and that was nice, but like not enough. Not the pick and roll wasn't functioning at any sort of high level that it should be. And you wanted Harden to be the guy a little bit more. There were times when he did in the fourth quarter. He had the team's first 8 points in the fourth. It was like, okay, are we going to get to see this? He didn't play horrendous. I thought his defense was way, 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 way better than last game. Had the blindside poke out on Achua early. It stripped Anunoby in the post. Then he drew a charge on OG. It was nice. I thought it was generally a pretty positive Harden game, even if it's not like a vintage one that at this point might be foolhardy to think that we're going to get one of those. But would have been nice to find for him, who's like the primary distributor on this team, to find easier ways to get Joel the ball in places where he can just like put it in without having to work so hard for it.
Well, and to be honest, and he, you mentioned this, he might just not have this in him. It would have been nice to get like 38 from him today.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the world that we're living in now, with him as the nice player, but not the guy that's going to carry the team when the other star is out. And that's what he was 2 years ago. And it's just not what he is now, at least right this second, because we see the exact same game from him than we've seen, a different version of it.
I thought it was nice, last podcast with MOC, I was like, I don't mind the step back. I understand he's got to do it. I don't mind going all the way at the rim and getting fouled, but I would love to see a little bit of that middle distance that he's not used to. Give me some Chris Paul plays. And he did start to do that a little bit tonight. He had a little fadeaway in the mid-range. He had a couple floaters, like those kinds of things to just like, even if they're not crazy efficient shots, obviously, and if he's not used to shooting them, like he's not going to be great at it. It's just a way to keep the defense honest. Like, okay, he could do this, so that you have to then double that or play it so that allows him to get to the rim, or that allows him to kick it out. He's still getting blocked too much. Like, he's just getting blocked too much, and that's like, he has to know that his burst is limited and that Toronto is an extremely quick team to rotate over and help, and he's got to use that against him. Like, if they're rotating over on you, you already won. Like, congrats. You drew 2 defenders. Kick it out to find the open guy, diagnose that. And there were a couple too many times where he didn't. And the other thing I'll say about Harden is, like, I understand he's more comfortable shooting off the dribble. He's a rhythm shooter. I get it. But, like, there are end of shot clock moments that he just needs to be able to catch and shoot on.
Yeah. And not dribble.
Too many times when he starts dribbling or collapsing or attacking or something like that. It's just like, I know he's not going to be Niang. Like, that's not who he is. But there's sometimes he's just got to be able to, I'm open, I'm taking this shot. Because if then he dribbles and resets the offense, Toronto is good at, like, and so will Miami. A lot of guys on Miami, they're good at, like, contesting and then staying in the play, not just flying out and, like, running into the stands. Like, he just has to be able to catch and shoot and keep the defense honest there, rather than, trying to get into his rhythm dribble.
Well, if Toby adjusted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Toby adjusted. Somebody mentioned in the chat, my people whining about the refs. Did you watch this fucking game? Like, did you watch the Sixers play this fucking game? Thinking that the refs lost this game. They were fucking terrible. They were terrible.
Yeah. There were some bad calls.
Sure, but there's always bad calls.
But there's always bad calls. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the refs' fault.
The Sixers were fucking horrible. Like, they were horrible. The fact that they were within striking distance with 7 minutes left says as much about the Raptors, talent level as anything else. So, and
I think that's why you can feel confident. Like, if they come into Game 5 in Philly with the crowd behind them, and the crowd knowing, like, Embiid's hurt, like, we gotta, like, bring it. We have to provide a lot of motivation here. I hope that they can just, like, settle in and handle business, because it seemed like they were like, all right, we already got the win in Toronto. We're tired of being here. This game is too fucking early. like, this is all just unpleasant. Like, let's just get out of here. It seemed like they just didn't have the motivation as much as I had the motivation to like, let's give Embiid a full week off. The team was just like, I don't know. We got that win already. We're probably fine.
Let's give Embiid a full week off. Let's give fucking these guys.
Sure.
These guys full week off. CJ was dying he was talking in the filter room before you got here.
My thumb is killing me from all this podcasting.
Tobias Harris, I thought was fucking like pretty great again. Honestly, you do have to give it to him. You know,
I'm giving it to him.
Give it to him.
We have to give it to him.
You gotta give it to him. He deserves it. We've slandered this guy. You insisted that he had some sort of.
I didn't. It wasn't an insist. It was a quick
COVID.
Immediately as I was saying it, regrettably, being like, something's wrong with this, and maybe I was right. Things have changed. You get over illnesses.
Long COVID, Toby.
Could have been. But he's been great. He really has been. I still wish he got to the line a little bit more, but that's just like not the way his body works when he drives. But I thought his drives, he took shots, he hit shots. But really the thing that I've been impressed by is just like, again, quickness, purposeful drives, like with both power and speed. He had a couple like nice finger rolls at the rim. And then he had that huge drive and two-hand dunk in traffic.
It was crazy.
Out of nowhere. And then he like seemed like he tweaked something. Hopefully he's fine. He had the corner step back with Scotty in his face. Like, that's a really hard shot. That's a really, really hard shot. And I thought especially he led the team in rebounding. He had 11 and, would have led the team by was in the minutes that mattered as soon as prior to the last like 3 minutes, which we're all getting a couple more rebounds. Like, he was really like, they're kind of their only hope on the defensive glass. It was really impressive. As I'm watching Tobias and being like, he's getting a lot of credit for his defense. Doc is giving him a lot of credit for his defense. Like, I'm like, we're due for a Tobias step back defensive game. Like, we're due for like a looking slow, sliding his feet poorly, and hope maybe that's the case next game with if he's dinged up. But he was great again. Like, he was great.
Great
like
fighting.
Siakam hit shots. Siakam hit like him. He's gonna hit contested fadeaways from like 17 feet out. Like, you kind of be like, all right, well, that's a tough shot. So you keep it moving. But like, he started the game with locking up Siakam. Had like a stick with it type block on Anunoby from behind. He did a Mutombo finger wag at one point on Siakam. Like, he's just been great. Like, there's been a time like he's had the most blocks of the team in the series, which is crazy to think about. And I think he got a little block happy, and he started like instead of just making the team work for it, making Toronto work for it, he's been like, I'm going to block this shot, which is like, hey, just force him into tough shots. You don't have to block everything. You're not Jaren Jackson. So he got a couple bailout fouls that like allowed Siakam to get to the line, but he keeps defending hard without fouling. He's being physical. He's being like solid, using his hands really nicely. Like, I've just been really, really impressed by him, and I'm proud of him. There were a couple tough offensive foul calls on him that like raised his turnovers and fouls, and he had 5 at the end, so he had to like take it easy a little bit. But he's been great. He's been way better than we could have expected, and I think at this point underpaid. Underpaid.
We got to take some of Maxey's money. Well, Harden's got enough money. Take some of Harden's money.
Yeah.
The one thing, I will raise one thing because I must. The number of 3-point attempts.
A little low.
3, 3, and 4 in games 2, 3, and 4. Would like to have. Now, Danny's getting a lot of them, and Danny ends up being the one. Danny's playing more because Thibault is not playing as much. Mm-hmm. Danny's starting, and that might take away from some of. I don't. In my brain, I'm not remembering Tobias passing up on them. So I feel like I have to give him the benefit of the doubt there.
I have not. There has not been a play where he's done the like, you got to get that up, and he's just like decides to start backing down, like prior to his man even getting there. So I think he's just in the flow of the offense, and they're collapsing hard on him, and he's happy to attack a closeout, and he looks good doing it. So really not a problem. Danny, yeah. We talked about Danny a little bit. He was 2 for 8 from 3 or 2 for 7. It seemed like he was 2 for a million. Like, so many momentum swinging threes where you're like, need this. And Danny's just like wide open, has all the time in the world, and just misses it. And that's That's just what it's like to be a catch and shoot guy in this league. And a lot of bench players and role players is like so much of how you feel about the bench is just like, are they hitting wide open catch and shoot threes? And George Niang right now is absolutely hitting catch and shoot threes. He
sure is.
I'm the most confident in Niang for any catch and shoot opportunity, no matter how close the defense is, no matter how quickly they get him up. He's obviously getting exposed defensively. He fouled out of this game, which I didn't realize, and I'm now realizing. But like the 3-point is such a weapon for Niang, and even with the defensive deficiencies, like he's still earning minutes for sure. And Danny just like didn't have it tonight. I thought he was fine defensively. Dan, he can't be allowed to dribble.
No, but
he can't be allowed to do it.
Little mini hooks and floaters, and
there's nothing more telegraphed on the planet than Chris Boucher blocking that scoop layup. Like it was like he's doing it. I'm like, how do you not know how this is going to end? Like straight, like obviously it's like we're watching a movie. We can see the monster like on the other side of the door, and the main character is like not seeing it. It's like, but you're watching it, Danny. You're a professional basketball player. How do you not know you're going to get your shit blocked here? And then the air ball off the on the fadeaway off a jump ball from like a 13-foot air ball. That's tough. I just don't want him to be doing that anymore. Please just pass it out, Dan. Like happy to get an offensive rebound here and there, whatever. Just like start the offense over. Nobody's asking you to do that kind of stuff. I don't understand.
yeah, and he'll go 2 for 7 some nights from 3, and then
Totally.
you need him to take those shots.
Oh, 100%. This
Yeah.
is not me saying stop taking those threes or pull them out or anything. Like he just needs to make them. Like in those moments, like he just has to make them. And I trust that eventually he will. He'll make enough of them. And there's been times in the series where he has. It's just like some days shooters, they're gonna miss. That's how it goes.
Especially when you have when you're the same game parlay, DraftKings same game parlay is the Danny, and you got to make 3 threes. You only make fucking 2.
Tough.
Kill me. Body Bio is the other sponsor of today's pod. We love Body Bio. Body Bio, you got to get your head right? It's your brain health and gut. Brain and gut. Everything else follows the brain and gut. And Body Bio is a local company, a family-owned and operated company that cares about your gut and your head. Your gut and your head. They make supplements for you to be healthier. One of them, butyrate. It is spelled B-U-T-Y-R-A-T-E. Google it. What you'll find out is that it is a thing that your body makes. Your body doesn't make enough of it. And their supplement helps you make more. And what it does is that I said head and gut, right? This one's for your gut. It's a postbiotic. So you take a couple of pills after you eat, and the bloat that you have, like when you have a big lunch at work or any lunch at work, you feel it the rest of the day. That bloat is almost constant, gone. You want to be regular, right? Butyrate will help you be regular. It'll help you be regular. It'll help that bloat go away. All just taking these couple of pills after you eat. It is a postbiotic, as I say. Get the sodium butyrate. There's a few of them on there. B-U-T-Y-R-A-T-E. Just go to bodybio.com and use code RTRS20. RTRS20, you get 20% off anything. So tap around the store. See if there's anything else you want. Maybe Elite. You've heard us talk about Elite. If you want to be hydrated, also important. That liposomal vitamin C, also important. Calm, also important. Go to bodybio.com, use code RTRS20 for 20% off anything. Bodybio.com. Well, an up and down game from B-Ball Paul, but the 3 followed by the 2 like 2 minutes later was a beautiful stretch from B-Ball Paul. Hitting the 3, not the one from Jaden Springer, the one earlier in the game, was just fucking beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was great. I was really happy with that one. In the corner too. And that's just a different, you usually see like big guys more hitting from the top of the arc off like a pick and pop situation. And so if he can add that to his game genuinely, and like in the G League he did, if he can add that genuinely, then there are times when he could possibly play alongside Joel here and there.
I love you pushing it one step further.
I am going to. I push it. I'm not satisfied at any point. Like,
and then he'll play next to Joel, and you'll be like, look, he could get Harden's backup minutes.
Why not? And why not? No, but especially when Niang is getting exposed and if Tobias is in foul trouble or Danny's dinged up. Like there are times when I do think there should be a consideration for B-Ball Paul and Embiid to share the floor together. Just because Paul can contest shots really hard. Like did great tonight defensively? Probably not. Like he fouled a little bit. Sometimes the fouls were because of they think he's weird. And then I think there were a couple nervous, like just like should have grabbed that ball type things. But like hard contests on defense and switching onto shooters and being able to like make it hard on them, that's legitimately just all you can ask for. And I don't blame he was a -3 tonight. I don't blame the second unit guys, second unit problems on him. Maybe predictably I don't, but like I think that was more of a Harden not carrying those as much as you want him to. The offensive basket interference, which honestly could be named it could be named after B-Ball Paul. It seems like his type of award. Could have easily been a bucket. Like they're starting to consider like the ISO post into a spin move to leave Thad in the dust. Like that was awesome. Like there's the other team is starting to have to consider him. And it seems like Harden is developing a little more trust with him, which again, you would like have that where you would have liked for that to happen in the regular season. If you're going to play somebody in the playoffs, I'll say it forever. But I thought it was a very fun B-Ball Paul game. The fact that he hit 2 threes in a playoff game kicks ass. I don't know what you want me to tell you. If the fact that
he
like,
took 2 threes in a playoff game kicks ass. Yeah.
And he even in crunch time like had a steal or garbage time had a steal at the end of the game. That's like pad those stats, baby. Whatever you got to do. But I think ultimately he's just the fact that the second unit was negative is to be expected. What you're asking is for him to not be so much of a negative the way DeAndre Jordan would be or that previous Sixers centers have been. So if people are looking at B-Ball Paul being like, and this is why they didn't play him, I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not backing down even 1 inch about this. Like not even close.
No, we're pretty far away from that. I think pretty far away from that happening. I need you to see this quote from Doc Rivers. CJ, if you could put that up. This comes from Scott Stinson. Doc Rivers says, with all the injuries, the series could come down to him going one-on-one with Nick Nurse. He says he likes the chances in that matchup.
Yeah, one of them was a former NBA player. But I trust Nick Nurse's knees more and his ability to bend down a little bit more. You see him squatting on the sidelines. I think Nick might have him length at least length of game wise. If they're playing to 3, give me Doc. If they're playing to like 15, I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know how far you can go.
I would, from a coaching standpoint, I would say that Brett Brown outcoached Nick Nurse in that series.
I don't
3
remember
years ago.
enough to know. I don't remember the like decisions made at that point.
So
but it was just like Embiid playing 45 minutes in the 3 minutes he sat. Just a hopeless Greg Monroe out there.
So they play on Monday night. Thankfully, it starts at 8:00. I always love when the games start later. Is it really happy for me?
Well, it's good. I'll be going to work in an office, so that's actually very helpful. So I'll miss it, but I'll catch up.
So they play on Monday. I haven't heard anything. CJ, have you seen anything about Fred VanVleet, whether he's going to play on Monday or anything like that?
I'm sure they're saying questionable at this point,
Yeah.
but that jersey rip did seem pretty problematic for them. It seems like he knows it's pretty serious.
Did you notice he had trouble continuing to rip the jersey? He tried,
he thought
but
about it.
Yeah.
He thought about keep going.
The update
Give us the news, CJ. What do you got?
The update that I saw is that he's getting an MRI and he's not talking to the media today. So not really an update.
Right.
Not great. Yeah. So I think
I just like seeing CJ. He just pops on, just like has something to say.
You see his overalls pick?
Of course, I saw the overalls pick.
Did you have a problem with him putting his feet on on his sofa like that?
100%.
His sneakers on the sofa?
Big problem.
I want to clarify with that.
You should put it up here, CJ. If you're going to talk about it, you got to put it up. Can you do that?
Yeah. I want to clarify.
Yeah.
The shoes are
public. This is a public apology.
Okay.
Yeah. The shoes are not dirty. The shoes are stained because I wore them at Firefly. However, they're not dirty because I washed.
What do you mean by not dirty?
I washed them after I went to Firefly, so they are clean shoes. They are just stained.
A lot of people are recently washed shoes.
Yes,
and they haven't been outside.
Maybe once or twice.
Once or twice, CJ.
Dude,
I don't know.
You're stepping on piss. You live in you live in the city.
You live anywhere, you're stepping on piss.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Stepping on person piss, dog piss.
Absolutely.
Who the hell knows what? You can't step on your couch like that. Bro.
Nice picture.
Great pick.
Could have been socks. Could have been nothing. I don't know. There's a choice. I'm just saying it was a choice.
Yeah.
You live and you learn. You're young.
He stands by it. We haven't talked about Maxey at all.
Oh yeah, we need more out of him tonight.
I'm just getting very frustrated that it's the same thing over and over again.
I'm sorry we didn't talk about Maxey. That's on me.
If it's like, I think part of it is Doc and part of it is Maxey himself, and part of it is Harden and Embiid. Like they need him so bad, and it's unfair. It's unfair that they're asking a 21-year-old who is taken this late in the 21. How Maxey's 21 now, right? I think he turned 21. Yeah. It's unfair to ask this much of him this soon, but like that's how good he is, and that's how much he's earned the right to do that kind of stuff. He just can't keep not doing anything in the first quarter. Like this is like 3-4 games in a row where the first quarter is just like Maxey's just standing there deferring, all that stuff, and like they just need him to turn the corner. It looked like he was thinking like all night, and in previous games in like second quarter, second half, whatever, he's turned it on. There was never a point tonight where it was like, okay, here we go. Maxey's like taking his turn. It was like he's locked in a little bit. It just never felt like, and it wasn't just because he was missing some shots. He was 4 of 12 for 11 points. It just never felt like he was getting in the rhythm of the game. And he needs to just assert himself and find those mismatches, find the guys on him, like whether it's Anunoby or Gary Trent, whoever. No one on the team can stay with him, and he's so crafty at finishing inside. He just didn't seem right, and I think like, especially with Joel looking like this, especially with Harden not at his best, or maybe this is the new normal for him. Like you just really, really need Maxey to like feel empowered to like get early offense early in the game, throughout the game. Like he can't just be like, oh, and let's mix it up. Let's change a speed guy. Like he needs to be like fully involved all game long.
And what do you like? Honestly, in first quarters, I feel like I don't even see him in the game. Like I don't even notice him. Do you know what I'm saying? And I sort of, if this is the Harden it's going to be, I sort of want Harden and Embiid to sit him down and just fucking say, you know, we need you earlier in the game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been times when it seems like it happens mostly with Tobias, where Doc is like, all right, we're going to get the first, like, we're going to really establish Tobias early. It's like establishing the run. Like, we're going to really put it in there, and we're going to give him the ball and get him going early so he feels confident going in. And that hasn't been the case as much anymore because Tobias has really settled into his role. He doesn't need that as much. Although there were still a handful of like, give Tobias the ball so we can post up plays tonight. I didn't love it. He didn't do a bad job, but I just don't love it in theory. You don't need to throw him a ball that many times. But so I would love for Doc to be like, all right, game 5 in Philadelphia, let's be the aggressors. Let's be the ones going downhill. And it just didn't seem like Maxey really turned the corner that much tonight. And I would love for him to establish it with Maxey like from the beginning, so he can get the crowd into it, so he can get Toronto on their heels. Like whatever it's going to take, I would really like to see a few schemed Maxey plays the first couple times down on Monday.
Yeah, it almost seems like somebody whispers in his ear at some point, because there's always a stretch during the game where he just turns it on and he goes. And we could just use it earlier, especially in a game like this.
And it just didn't happen tonight, and it's hard to expect it when the later the game goes to be like, okay, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do that thing? So that was tough. I thought it was a pretty nice Shake game. It's really just like bench players, like, are you hitting shots or not? And Shake hit his shot off the catch, and the thing that he has that no other bench guys have, and really only Harden, Maxey, Tobias, and Embiid have, is like he can handle a little bit. And so he's not as good of a catch and shoot shooter, and he's not as quick of a catch and shoot guy as those other guys, but he can get into the lane and like make a couple things happen. And it was nice to see him get a bucket off a closeout when the offense breaks down. So I thought he was fine. It just,
honestly, I think they missed, a game like this. Not that he would have changed the game, but if Thybulle's in a game like this, he could create a couple of turnovers and a couple of easy buckets that change the whole momentum of the game. And I think a game like this, they hurt. It hurts.
That's entirely fair and something we should have said earlier, because they're thin, guys aren't playing well, they're not getting easy looks, and like Thybulle has those ways of finding them to get easy looks, and it's his fault that he's not there. You watch how many times the guy from the wing would dig down to the corner to intercept Joel's passes to the corner, And there's times when the Sixers come so close to getting those passes, whether it's Danny or Tobias or Maxey at one point, and like they're like miss it by like a fingertip or something, and Matisse gets those plays. Like Matisse picks those passes off. Matisse deflects that to start a fast break for the Sixers or at least like stop the Raptors from scoring easily. Like they definitely missed him tonight, and I didn't think about it until you said it, but like 100% would have just like some easy buckets, even though the offense has been humming without him on the court.
Yeah, I'm not saying, he has his limitations, and I've been critical of those limitations, but I think he might not make a difference in a game like this, but he definitely could, especially in a not a great Danny game too. So, well, game 5 is on Monday night, 8:00. Hopefully they close them out there. As you mentioned, Miami has the Lowry injury. They just lost to the Hawks. Man, watching Trae Young do something just brings back these fucking like nightmares from last year, even when it happens to another team. It would be poetic to somehow play. I feel like there's poetry in playing Miami and Butler, and poetry in playing Atlanta too.
Hey man, there's poetry all over the world. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Earth Day. You can look anywhere and see something poetic.
See CJ's Sam with the sneakers on his fucking
Yeah, there's
couch.
poetry in that,
There's
for
poetry everywhere. All right. So we will talk to you Saturday or Monday night. I'm sorry, I'm so confused. Monday night. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, just last thing is like
wait, sorry.
they can't. This was like a 5-game series win is a gentleman's sweep. This would be a classic gentleman's sweep if they gave them one game in front of their home crowd. Like, have to win Monday. And I know that there's plenty of time. Like I'm really not concerned. Like the Sixers went up 3-0. It was very likely that Toronto would just have a game that they are too aggressive and the Sixers just don't quite bring as much heat as they have been in front of their home crowd. Like, that's fine. I'm really not concerned at all. They have to win game 5. They have to come out aggressive in game 5. They have to put them away. Like, they need to just like throttle them and be the better team because they are. And Toronto's injured. Like, it just can't be getting into like go back to game 6 for Toronto. And if they win that, blah, 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 then you're starting to think then the Sixers are starting to get in their heads. And then the Doc stuff is going to come, blowing 3-1 leads, all that stuff. Can't do it. Win game 5, win it early, get Maxey going early. Like, take care of business.
3-1. It's 3-1. It's 3-1, bro.
Just got to handle business, man.
All right.
They're the better team. I don't think the Sixers are concerned. I think they're like, yeah, they got this one. That's fine. Let's go home. Let's finish it at home and rip their hearts out. Let's go.
All right. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.